Hi everyone. It's coming up to the 23rd of November, which will be Saturday, when we're going to have, in the UK at least, the trials for the European Cross Country Championships. It's the UK Cross Challenge at Liverpool, Sefton Park, and as usual, it's combined with local league races as well. So all sorts of levels competing. It was a full program going right the way through, from the youngest age groups right the way through to seniors. But there are a few key changes this year. I'm just going to focus on the senior races really. They're the ones which I've a bit more knowledge of and know some of the competitors in. Just to say that the live stream should be on British Athletics TV, just as the Cardiff Cross Challenge was recently. So look out for that. The first race of the day is, around 10:30 in the morning, where we got the trials for the European short course relay, which is like 4 times 1500 with 2 men and 2 women in a team. I'll come on to that in a second. Goes right the way through to the senior races, with women at 12:45 and the men at 1:50, and that's the day. The Europeans take place on 8th of December. The selections take place, I think, on Monday the 25th of November, so a couple of days after the races on Saturday. Essentially, it's the top 4 seniors and under 23s will qualify automatically for the Great Britain team, but they can take 6 in a team. The under 20s, the top 5 qualify automatically. And for the relay, only the winner of the men's and the winner of the women's races will be guaranteed a place in the team. All others who might be interested, who aren't racing on Saturday, have completed an expression of interest, and various criteria will go into deciding whether they justify a selection above somebody who's done pretty well at the trials. You can Google the UK Cross Challenge, and that'll take you through the British Athletics website to see the full schedule, and actually you can click on to see who's actually entered on the day. FR Systems, I think, will have the full live results coming out, so look out for that. And so on to the races. Both the men's and the women's senior races are over 3 long laps of just about 8k. And funnily enough, the under 23s will run alongside them, as they have done in the past. But on this occasion, they'll be just running 5.6k and peeling off with just 2 laps gone. So that will be interesting. It's one there's been a lot of debate about. You can appreciate there's only so much time in the day, but it could mess around with the tactics, and I'll come on to that in a minute. I've looked at both the senior men and the senior women. On the senior women's side, look back at last year's race, and there was, outside of the top 3, 4, there was a lot of change going on in the second half of the race, and people who were on the verge of getting on the Great Britain team missed out in the end, as others came through and they faded. So a few of these names that I'm going to mention now were in that mix with a chance of getting in the team. I've probably picked out maybe 4, possibly 5 that I think have got very strong chances who are on the entry list. But there are plenty of others, like Alex Bell, who'll be focusing on road and cross country a bit more than the track, and she's going for it. Abby Donnelly, who ran so well last year and then did very, very well in the Europeans. I think she was 4th in the Europeans. She's on form, be one of the favourites to qualify in the 4 guaranteed spots. Got Amelia Quirk, perhaps not shown a best form this winter so far, but still a force to be reckoned with. Hannah Irwin, Holly Dixon's been on form. Izzy Fry was there last year. right towards the front, and again you'd expect her to be right up there. Jess Gibbon is a force on the cross country from Reading and could well be in the mix. She's going well. Jess Warner-Judd seems to be coming back, although she's entered both the short course and the longer course, so that'd be interesting to see what her intentions are there. I mean, it's not been unknown that people give it a go, at least at Liverpool, to try both of them. Because there is a couple of hours recovery between them, but that'd be interesting to see if she does that. One thrown in the mix I think's got a really good chance, and I think a few other people think so as well, is Kate Axford, who was fastest at the Mansfield National Cross Country Relays and been running really well this winter. She's from Belgrave and seems to be on form, and certainly will give it a really good go. Then you've got others like Neve Bridgeston Hubbard. She was right in the mix last year, just outside the top 4, so running really well. Made teams before. You've got Neve Brown, National Cross Country Champion. Phoebe Barker was looking like she was going to qualify for a Great Britain spot last year, but just was overtaken towards the end, so missed out. You've got Poppy Tank and Sarah Astin as well. Very difficult to call some of these places, but if I had to pick 4, I'd probably say Abby Donnelly, Izzy Fry, Jess Warner-Judd and Kate Axford are the 4 to look out for, perhaps towards the front. That would, put my money on, if you like. So, yeah. If we then look at the women's short course, as I say, Jess Warner-Judd's gone for it, or entered for it. You've got Elise Thorner, Sarah Calver and others in there, but perhaps it's not as strong in depth as the men's entries. And then you've got, also going on this weekend, is the NCAA Cross Country Championships. And I was just looking through to see who could be considered for a part in the Great Britain team if they've put their names forward for it. People like Sarah Tate, who was 10th in the Mid-Atlantic Regionals last weekend. Phoebe Anderson, who's under 23, she finished 2nd in the North East Championships ahead of Alex Millard, who ran for Providence, and Shannon Flockhart, who ran for Providence as well in that same championship. So 3 of the top 5 in the North East Regionals over there were Brits, and they were under 23. So they might throw their hat into the ring. We'll be looking out for their results at the NCAA Championships. There's always a lot of debate about where, is it top 20 at the NCAA will justify GB spot? Does it have to be higher? Could it be lower? One thing I will say when I come on to the men is the NCAA system on the men's side is extremely strong this year, with plenty of Kenyans, for example, at university out there. Another one to throw in the mix from the south out there, and there's more. I think there's more British women out there particularly doing well, is Beth Morley, who's at Florida. She was 16th in the regionals, but she played a part in the Great Britain short course relay team before. So who knows, coming home early for Christmas, or whether they're going to go indoor track early, who knows. But there's a few names there from the States to take into consideration. So that's the women's side. And then on the men's side, I've got a list of 20, almost 30 people who have been in the mix, competing towards the front of this race before, who are certainly on reasonable form, and we could look out for, and I'm sure I've been targeting it. People like Alfie Manthorpe, and these are probably pretty much in alphabetical order. Alfie Manthorpe, Angus McMillan, he's made Great Britain teams before. Ben Connor, if he runs, got to be amongst the favourites to be in the top 4 seniors and guarantee a place on the Great Britain team. Callan Johnson, such a good racer. I'm not sure he's in the same form he's been in the past, looking at his social media, but who knows? I'm sure to give it a go. Cameron Allen led really early on last year. Look back at the video. Again, what struck me from looking at last year's race is how fast they went off. They were stretched out early on, and that was everybody running the 3 and a bit laps of the course, a bit longer than this year. And yeah, the under-23s got to be a bit careful doing just 2 laps to not get caught, and really be prepared to race hard from the gun, I think, this year, because a lot of people will anyway, even doing the full senior race. You got the Wheeler brothers, Charlie and George, definitely targeting this, I would think. Both ran really well at Mansfield cross country relays. Ellis Cross from the Hoka squad and Aldershot, he'll be in the mix, gunning for it. You got Jack Miller from Bristol, Jacob Can from Newham and Essex Beagle, James West, the fastest 5,000 metre runner in the race, has had a few niggles and coming back from the track season, but he's training well and decided to give it a crack. You got Jake Smith, who's on the up from Cardiff, maybe not looking at Great Britain team spot, but certainly going to be gunning for top 20, 25, something like that. I don't think Jamie Crowe is quite in the form that's seen him. I think he's been in top 3 before, coming down from Scotland's Central AC. Don't think he's quite in that shape this year. Then we've got James Kingston, who made the Great Britain under 23 team last year. I think he was about 15th in the Europeans last year. He's still under 23, so he'll be doing the shorter race amongst this one race. Got Joe Wigfield, who again, if he runs, will certainly attack it. He's run a good 10-miler recently, but at the Hampshire League, he was beaten by a second by a guy called Abdin Nasir Elmi, who's under 23 and is also entered at Liverpool. He's from Bournemouth AC. I'm not sure that he qualifies for Great Britain. I think he's a recent acquisition, maybe asylum seeker perhaps. And fair play to them if he can keep fit, and there's a few like that now in the country, come over and showing good form despite what they're going through. So tremendous effort from some of these guys. Logan Rees, a bit of a new name to me, but he was close up behind Zach Mohammed at Liverpool, so presumably in really good form and could be in the mix for the senior race place. Matt Ramsden, still under 23. Noticed he ran really well at Mansfield. Oscar Bell's been running well. He's under 23. Got Rory Leonard. He attacked it really quite hard last year and was right up there, made the Great Britain team. So he'll be going again. Under 23, I mentioned Rowan Meal Ingram. Got Scott Beattie, Rory Leonard's teammate, both at Morpeth and Hocker, always gunning for a GB place. Scott Sterling, he's made a GB teams. Stuart McCullum, back in the past, has made a Great Britain team and seems to be coming back on form. Toma Tarragano, he's now out the under 23s, he's a senior, but a very consistent cross-country runner. And then we got Will Barnicoat, under 23, European champion last year, from Birmingham University and Aldershot, Farnham and District. He'll be amongst the favourites for the under 23 title. And it's going to be interesting how that plays out, that mix of under 23s and seniors. And then we've got Zach Mohammed, who's ran 62 something for a half marathon recently, clearly on form, and of course made Great Britain teams and ran a pretty swift 10,000 metres this year. And then on the under 23s, got people like Jack Small and Louis Small and Henry Brody from Bradford, who've been racing really well. So quite a difficult one to pick the winners from. The only one in the States that I saw who stood out, and I could easily miss somebody, was David Malarkey, who was 5th in the mountain region running for Northern Arizona University. Look out for him in the NCAA championships this weekend. So taking that lot, I'd probably go. Did I mention Hugo Milner? I'm not sure I did, but he'd be probably the favourite, having won last year convincingly the senior race, and very confident runner. Won the national cross country, beating Ben Connor. So I'd probably go Milner and Connor to make the team. Rory Leonard, based on past form, to make the team and experience, and then a whole host of them could be after that. I'm talking seniors rather than under 23s. I wouldn't like to put pressure on anyone there, but it's pretty open, I would say, for the other GB spots. And as usual, the depth is significantly higher, and that's just the 30 that I've mentioned. There's another 20 or 30 on the back of that. Very, very good runners who'll be competing at Liverpool. The weather forecast is pretty windy, pretty wet, and pretty chilly at Liverpool on Saturday. There's one aspect that I almost forgot, because I'd mentioned the women's short course trials not being that depth, but the men's is a little bit more in terms of numbers, stronger. There's a few names I've got here, such as Alex Malloy from Cambridge, Ben Claridge, Callum Elson on the comeback trail, ran a very solid leg for Cambridge and Coleridge at the Mansfield cross-country relays, and has been he's in the GB team on the full senior men's team last year, not the short course. And of course, he's a really good 1500 metre mile runner at his best, and coming back from a very serious injury. So fair play to him, giving it a go. You've got James Hennigan, who jumped a couple of years ago, jumped everybody and won this trial and got in the GB team. Got James McMurray, who's been in fine form, won the Leeds Abbey-Dash 10K. He's entered the short course here. Josh Lay, another who's had injury issues over the years, but he ran under 14 minutes for 5K recently. He won this trial last year, so really knows what he's doing around this short course at Liverpool. You've got Kane Elliott and Tyler Billiard, who's run 3:54 for the mile this summer. He must be in the mix, plus a bunch of others that could surprise, including Tunbridge's Jack Higgins, who ran 3:58 for the mile and 1:45 for 800 this year. He's in there as well. So looking forward to that. Bit early in the morning to go full-blooded over a mile at 10:30 on a cold and windy and wet day. But there you go. That's the short course lineup. There's a few more could be in the mix again in that one. So all to play for to get in the Great Britain teams. Wrap up where if you're going, and look forward to seeing a whole bunch of you there on Saturday at Sefton Park, Liverpool.